People love their cars, especially their classic cars, but do you have the right insurance on the car? Well, Jim Garman of Suzi Glover State Farm is here to help us because, Jim, my Yugo is just sitting there because I didn't want to get it out on the road. I'm worried about it. You know, it's definitely, a classic. I don't know what the value is.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because a Yugo, although it's got its humor side to it, it actually has some significance to it. So we could take a look at that.
Okay, I like that. And that's the thing about it, because I do also have a new truck, but totally two different insurances I need to have on there, right?
Yes, the NT Classic, it focuses more on the value, the stated value of that car. And when you get to the older vehicles and different states of restoration or original condition, the values can change from one Yugo to another, depending on what you've got. So it's important to understand that value and then look at the other half of it is the limited miles that you're going to use it, because it's a specialty type car now. So it's not your daily driver. It's the Sunday driver, going to shows, things like that. That's how we differentiate that.
Yeah, and what's so crazy is that I was going, okay, you know what? I'm 50, and so what's considered a classic car? Because my classic when I was growing up was, of course, a 1960, those beautiful Corvettes, the Studebakers, all that. Now, it's how old?
25 years.
My gosh. So that's almost like driving like, what's I'm trying to think what was back in those days. Almost like a Bronco,
Yeah. An early 90s Bronco,
Yeah.
in the right condition, qualifies for that, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So, and even the Jeeps and stuff like that we had back in the day.
Yep.
So,
And the big thing is, yeah, it could be a 90s Jeep or Bronco, which to you and I that's what we drove when we were kids. So is that really classic? It is now, but it's the limited use. So if you actually, it's a good point you brought up a Jeep, because if the intent of the policy is that it's not going to be used off-road or for those normal things. So we can insure a 1990 Jeep as an antique classic, but you can't go take it off-road anymore because that defeats the purpose of what you're doing with it.
there you go. And that's what's so important. And you were talking about driving it, because I was thinking, I do know friends who have, those classic 1940s and 50 cars that they keep in the house, they don't move or anything. Then have other ones that do drive them, like to shows or out and about. But is that something you have to watch out for too?
Yeah, it depends what you're doing. Like earlier we were talking about, if you have it in a museum or something that you don't drive it ever at all, there's ways we can tweak that coverage to make it even more cost effective. But on the other side, if you're going to shows, a Sunday drive, and it's limited with State Farm anyways to 2,000 miles a year, so it can't be a cross-country vehicle for different things. It's limited use and stated value, the two biggest things that go along with it.
Yeah. And Jim, the great thing is coming and sitting down with you guys, because again, say for instance, I want to adjust that classic car insurance. Same for, I do want to maybe, for this year, I want to take it to more car shows. I need to check on that insurance to adjust it. And then next year I decide I'm not going to do it. So it's really where you can sit and work with people's budgets and work with what they're doing and let them know.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. And you get into that good point. You always want to sit down with us to make sure we do it right. A quick phone call can get it done, but to make sure everything makes sense for you. And I think we talk about it all the time. What you have, Brad, is different than what I have and what I need. So whether it's your classic car, your regular car, your home, things like that, I want to talk through it. But with the classic, it's understanding what your intent is for this year or next year. If it's just going to be that daily, that Sunday driver, again, it's a simple situation. If you think it might be more of a regular, throughout the week, more than 2,000 miles a year, we got to look at it a little bit differently, things like that.
Especially if I'm doing repairs on it and putting new things on there. And if I'm going to go find maybe the original stuff to be put on there, I probably need to sit down and talk insurance too, compared to what's going on with the car.
Yeah, different states of restoration have different values, things like that.
That's what I was going to ask you too. So my Yugo's here, but if I decide I'm going to go over to California with it for a while or somewhere, I really need to sit down and see what their policies are and what you guys can see the differences.
Yeah, it depends what you're doing. My parents have old cars. I grew up around old cars, and I just bought myself a 1923 Ford T-Bucket hot rod.
Yeah.
So it's fun, but my parents had a Model A, and they were talking about taking it to a show in California. Well, there and back, once or twice a year, that adds a lot of miles on there. So if that's the intent, we got to handle it correctly.
Yeah. Jim, how can they get a hold of you guys?
Our phone number is 480-941-2257, or go to our website, which is SuziGlover.com, S-U-Z-I, Glover, Glover.com.
There you go. And you are, of course, the insurance superheroes.
That's us.
There you go.